Look how beautiful this card is. The legendary 980 Ti. This was my dream card back in 2015. It was a beast back in the days, and I had a lot of wet dreams about this thing. Not kidding. So before we jump into the actual benchmark of this card, which is why you clicked on this video, I gotta do a quick little comparison with Crysis 3, a game that came out back in 2013, and see how much of a downgrade modern optimization is. Because this thing was able to kill it with 1080p maxed out, while on the other hand, Monster Hunter Wilds was struggling to even keep up 30 FPS on medium FSR performance, which is upscaled from 540p, which has terrible visuals, texture quality compared to Crysis 3. So we're running both these games on the Ryzen 7 9800X 3D and 64GB DDR5 RAM. I know it's overkill, but let's just stick with it. So if you're still rocking a 980 Ti, you're a legend, just like the graphics card. If you guys have watched my previous rant on this game with the 2080 and the i7 9700K, you guys know I'm gonna be pissed off, but I didn't have the energy to go on a full complete rant. But you guys get the point. Modern gaming doesn't mean shit if they're not well optimized. Even with a 980 Ti, you should be able to run these type of games pretty well, 60 FPS on medium settings. So yeah, we thought back in the days optimization was shit, but here we are in the future, 10, 15 years into the future. We get a pretty much worse experience. So you guys can see, Crysis 3 is absolutely flying with more than 150 FPS with crisp textures. Let me just zoom in for you guys. And you guys can see the difference. It looks a lot more crispier, and I have turned off everything else, like ray tracing, just to make it fair. Can't believe I'm saying that. And now here's Monster Hunter Wilds. Same settings, 1080p medium, but with FSR performance on. Still not able to get 30 FPS. The textures blurry, you can see the smearing, all the artifacts, everything inconsistent, just a pile of shit. If you were to just let me guess without having any context or anything, I have no idea. If you show these two games side by side to a non-gamer and ask them, which game do you think is the latest one? People will probably pick Crysis 3, which came out in 2025, instead of this garbage over to the left side, which is Monster Hunter Wilds. Just a crazy thing to say. And people said Crysis 3 was ahead of its time. I mean, all the Crysis games were ahead of its time, let's be honest. Nobody thought it was going to be 10 years ahead of its time. This is with no input delay, no upscaling, nothing. This is a native 1080p you're seeing here. Even on 4K, which I did right here, we're getting 40 FPS on maxed out on a 6GB video card from 2015. We're not able to even close to such performance on a latest game, which looks 10 times worse. How does that make any sense, guys? So that's all I wanted to show you guys in this video. We can jump into the benchmark, the actual benchmark tool, see how things unfold. Just not a pretty pleasing result, so you guys would have expected. Let's get into it. Okay, so a 1080p medium preset, which has the upscaling by default, FSR performance mode, and you go into the hub area. This is where you'll be spending most of your time on. You're getting 18 FPS in the benchmark tool. So when the actual game comes out, there's going to be a lot more other players in this area, so expect somewhere around 9 to 12 FPS instead of what you're seeing right here. Yeah, and when you go here, it's going to drop down into the 15s, 10 to 15 FPS. And this is just the benchmark tool. You're not even moving your mouse around, no inputs, nothing. Do not buy this game if you're having a 980 Ti. I mean, do not buy this game at all. It runs like shit on pretty much any system. I don't want to support developers who push out crap like this and call it a day. No. I'm not supporting any developers who does this in 2025. If you go back into the village area, you can see it's 12 FPS. Does the 12 FPS justify the visuals? Definitely not. That's why I was ranting. And you guys can see it here. It's really terrible. So, and the game gave it a settings changes required screen at the end with 6,476 FPS. I mean score, averaging 18 FPS. This game is an absolute joke. Okay, now let's see 1080p lowest with FSR performance. So this is 480p upscaled. The absolute shittiest graphics. Of course the character models are gonna look horrendous. So blurry. You go back into the hub area, getting subpar 30 FPS with even shittier visuals from the previous settings, and even more smearing and ghosting and artifacting. And this is with FrameGen on. If you turn on FrameGen, it usually takes up more of VRAM, and it's unfortunate on a 6GB card, but even without FrameGen, it's not going to help you much. You're getting almost 28 FPS here. And you jump down into this area, you're getting 25 FPS. Moving on to the hub area, getting around 30 FPS. Keep in mind, on these settings, Crysis 3, you can get more than 100, close to 200 FPS on the lowest settings, on this same system, with way better visual quality. At the end, we got 32 FPS average. Let's move on to the final test. So 720p lowest without frame generation, with ultra performance. So this should be mostly CPU intensive, but for some reason it doesn't use the CPU as much as it should. And look at the characters, excellent quality. And we're averaging even less at 25 FPS, almost maxing out the 980 Ti still. Going back to the hub area, 21 FPS. Looking beautiful. Imagine showing this to a guy from 2015 who has the absolute maxed out deck of a PC with a 980 Ti and telling them, yo, this is how your games are gonna look on the 980 Ti from 2025 with 18 FPS. Remember, this is running on 720p upscaled from 480p. I think this is 360p. They're gonna be like, there's no way. Look at this image. Look at this still frame. And tell me how this is justified. I don't get it. Moving on to the hub area here. Still the same thing. Or even worse, 22 FPS. Not even 20 FPS. It's been down into the 19 FPS category. With averaging 23.85 FPS. With setting changes recommended. What else do you want me to change? Anyways, that's the benchmark. I hope you guys are happy with that, right? So yeah, what do we get from all of this? Crysis 3, it looks and runs better than this sorry-ass excuse of a video game. It's not the 980 Ti's fault. It's solely on the developers. There's nothing you can do. So the best way to stop this practice is stop buying these games. Stop supporting these developers so that they'll learn from it and they make changes and make the games actually run for a majority of systems. I hope this doesn't get normalized and made it a trend because of all this new AI thing going on. So I hope that's not the case, because if it is, and if it's gonna go in this direction, it's gonna be a sad generation of video gaming, and I don't like where it's going. But yeah, that's all I have to show you guys in this video. So what do you guys think? Is the 980 Ti still worth getting in 2025? Or if you're still using a 980 Ti with older hardware, older CPUs, let me know in the comments and how things are going for you guys. And let me know if you guys want to see me benchmark other games on the 980 Ti. This card is still a really beast of a GPU. Can still hold up really well in optimized games, of course. And yeah, hope you guys are having a great time. I will catch you guys in another video. Take it easy.